Let me introduce the panelists. We have Anasaya Ray. She's the Vice President for South Asia for AB InBev. We have Ashwani Gupta, who's the whole-time Director and CEO of Adani Ports. We have Matthew Uman, who's the President of Reliance. And we have Mr. Murugappan, who's a very distinguished person who's invested in Kerala, Chairman of Carbon Universal. And we have Mr. Shashi Kumar Sridharan, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Google Cloud. Have I covered everyone here now? Yeah. Yeah, please.
My name is Anil Ganju, and I'm the President and Chief Growth Officer of HCL Technologies.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ganju.
Sure.
And my apologies for this because your name was, I should have started off with you. So thanks everyone. And let me start with we have a lady here. She's the only lady panelist in the panel. So let me start with her. Anasaya Ray, tell me now, you've heard all these people speaking in the morning. If you were to take Kerala from the present level in 2047 when it becomes 100, and you are made in charge of industry in Kerala, what are the 3 critical things you will do to transform Kerala?
Good afternoon, everyone, and great to be here. And great to be here, and that's a very interesting question. That what happens so many years from now, and what are the 3 things? Like, I represent AB InBev in India, and I look after corporate affairs for AB InBev, and we are the world's largest brewers. And we brew Budweiser, Hoegaarden, Stella Artois, Corona in India. And of course, our discussions with the state started back in Davos when we had when we met the delegation led by Honorable Industry Minister. And there was a lot of discussions around how could we make progress in the state on ease of doing business. And from the morning what I heard about Kerala looking at various EODB issues, Kerala being the state which has got the highest number of airports, God's own country, tourism, etc. I would say from the perspective of a low alcoholic beverage perspective, which is a beer industry, what I would look for in Kerala in the next coming years is a model excise policy, which kind of supports the farmers who grow barley, which supports the larger ecosystem of bottlers, can makers, logistics, etc., who supply beer to various households, and the manufacturers like us who are looking at states who kind of differentiate between alcohol, who differentiates between a low alcohol and obviously gives us the portability and the accessibility to move away from cheaper or the lower forms of alcohol to something which is more premium, which gives people more choices. So that would be my first one. Second, I think the other things that have been already spoken about, I think Kerala has already opened doors to so many things, the logistic operations that we heard about, the port, the water system, everything is progressing, and I'm really, really hoping that the state really comes up and supports this side of manufacturing, which is the alcohol beverage sector, especially looking at beer as a moderate beverage.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me turn to Mr. Murugappan because he's got a major investment in Kerala. Now, Mr. Murugappan, Singapore in 1965 had a per capita income of $550 US, just 550. Singapore has been able to take it up to 90,000 US dollars, from 550 to 90,000 US dollars. Singapore is just 750 square kilometers. Kerala is also a small state in the whole of India. What can Kerala do to take the per capita income of its population to that level, and how can it be transformational in the years to come?
Thank you, sir, and thank you all for this opportunity to be here. We've been invested in Kerala for the last 62 years. This is the best I have.
Hello.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. We've been invested in Kerala here for the last 62 years. And many people ask us, how come you've survived Kerala for 62 years? Well, we are very happy invested here, and we are happy to invest
Anish,
more.
can you ask this chap to get the mics right and get the volume right? You can't have people without proper mics.
Mics. Hello. Yeah, mic people, please kindly increase the volume. Yeah,
A bit closer.
both the mics.
All the mics get the volume right.
Please.
Yeah.
This is working?
Yeah.
Okay, this is working. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's an interesting question, sir, is that
How is it?
having been invested in Kerala for 62 years now, and people ask us, how come you survived Kerala for 62 years? I guess Kerala has survived us as well for 62 years. See, the important thing is that when you look at transformation, I look at really four things. One, any business, any industry, any institution, any government, to me, has to have a practical vision, not a grandiose vision. A vision that is doable on the strengths of what it has. Kerala has huge strengths. Kerala is well endowed in different capacities and capabilities, but overall, we have seen over the last 62 years outstanding people. And I see this because I've seen my colleagues work with me, and we have outstanding people. Build on strengths, so have a practical vision. You can't do everything, and whatever we do, let's do the best. So you talked about Singapore, sir. So Singapore looked at itself, as much as I read Lee Kuan Yew's writings, from the first book of Singapore story to then from Third World to the First. These are very interesting books to read since you made this opening remark, is that you have a practical vision as to what you can do. The next, after the practical vision, is that you have to take out all the underlying contradictions. What are the roadblocks to this vision? What are the roadblocks to this vision? Be it industry, be it trade and commerce, be it any institution. What practical vision, take out the underlying contradictions or roadblocks. Then work on strategic actions. And that should transcend any government. It should not be the idea or vision of one government or the next government. Strategic actions, and then smart, capable implementation. And I think Kerala has all the ingredients, and all that it has to do is to put it all together and take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Murugappan. I'll now turn to someone who's had an experience of doing a very complex and a very difficult project in Kerala, which is doing the Vizhinjam port. And doing an infrastructure project of that size and scale is not easy in Kerala. Mr. Gupta, tell me about your own experience about Vizhinjam, and how do you see Vizhinjam port transforming Kerala and India and in the years to come?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Amitabh ji, for that question. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would say that it's not yesterday, it's not today, it was 90 years before when Vizhinjam had a dream to get connected to the international channel. And 29 years before, this concept was planned, but unfortunately it was not executed because of many challenges. And 9 years before, I think we took the challenge, and in 9 years we are there where it's the first transshipment automated terminal in South Asia. Now, the port is the gateway to the trade. 95% of the trade by volume is done by maritime, which means, we talked about by 2027, India will be the third largest economy, which means it will be driven by the global trade. And when there is a global trade, port plays a very important role. Now, why we are successful in Vizhinjam is, number one, I think this morning we talked about people, we talked about nature, and we talked about industry. I would like to put it in much more precise, which is talent, technology, and shore, and all clubbed with the ecosystem fully supported by the government authorities, whether it is state, whether it is central, and all as one team has delivered the state-of-art port, which is the first transshipment terminal. One more thing, which I would like to say, Amitabh ji, you talked about Singapore. You know, I was learning through the statistics, and in early 80s, you know, the per capita of Kerala was close to or a little bit higher than Singapore. But when I look at shipping business, Singapore, with just 193 kilometers of coastline, does 40 million TEUs. Out of 40 million, 95% are transshipment. We, Kerala, with the 600 kilometers of coastal line, will be doing 3 or 3.5, which is just a fraction of the transshipment which India does. At the end, if we are able to build such kind of transshipment terminals along the coastal line, which is close to the international trade route, we have ample amount of opportunity, because at the end, we reduce our cost, we reduce the time finally to the customer, and this is absolutely in line with that why our logistics cost is 13 to 14% of our GDP. With these kind of terminals, definitely we will be improving our logistics cost, which will give a huge benefit to the country.
Yeah. No, I wanted to ask you one more question. You are putting up a port in Sri Lanka. There's a Chinese port in Sri Lanka. Will there be competition to Millennium?
Sir, on this trade, because this route, you know, we call it Global South, this from Southeast Asia to India to Middle East to Africa, this whole corridor, this covers roughly 1/3 of the global trade. And the transshipment is so important for the shipping lines because of the connectivity with Europe and United States, that this transshipment business is going to grow today. Colombo, we are building up our terminal, which will be starting end of this month. The question is, first, we will be getting the additional growth, which is coming in the trade. Second, wherever we go, we take the market share from our competitor. Why? Because we are more efficient and more effective. This is what we have delivered in Haifa. This is with respect to our Chinese competition. This is what we have delivered in Tanzania, and this is what
my compliments, because doing the Millennium project was not easy, and I'm sure you will do very well in Kerala. So my compliments to you. Let me turn to Mr. Shashikumar Sridharan. You know, Mr. Shashikumar, this is the age of AI. This is the age of quantum computing. A huge amount of disruption is taking place in the world. What do you think Kerala should do to technologically leapfrog? Because without foundational models being prepared based on Kerala's own civilization, its own strength, its own data sets, it will find it very difficult to technologically leapfrog. What is the next 2 or 3 big ticket things it should do technologically to move forward?
So the risk is that we get into the queue of various predecessors in technology, right? And we have an opportunity now. There are about 7 or 8 blocks which are completely disruptive. They're very new, and there is no incumbency of sorts. People are scrambling towards it, but there is no incumbency of sorts. Say, for example, blockchain, or generative AI, or cybersecurity in the new avatar, Industry 4.0. These are scenarios that are domain agnostic. So you don't necessarily need scale elsewhere to do this really well. Now, can we do that in Kerala? Absolutely, we can do that in Kerala. Will this give you a value proposition and notch you up a few notches in terms of excellence? I think this is a new area that we should be getting into. From everything that got spoken today, I have a top up on we heard a lot about the pull factor. We are getting ready, capacity, coverage, capability. We are seeing that being anchored really well. But what about access to markets? That's one big ticket item that we need to kind of encourage. And what about that narrative where we are going out there and saying our story from people who have been successful coming out of Kerala, right? That actually resonates a lot better. And we probably need an equivalent platform to narrate that story in markets where we aspire to be. So technology is the biggest differentiator the biggest disruptor to, if you can't overtake from the right, you overtake from the left.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Ganju, I want to turn to you, and I wanted to ask you, because Kerala has been able to create good infrastructure, in terms of tech. It has created the Techno Park. It has created another great technology park in Cochin. But if you look at its neighboring state in south, Karnataka, if you look at Hyderabad, they've moved ahead far more rapidly. What does Kerala need to do, big ticket things, to be able to, it's not going to be hardware, it's going to be software, it's going to be technology which can enable Kerala to leapfrog. That's my view. What do you think Kerala needs to do to move ahead of all the other states in India as far as technology breakthroughs are concerned?
Amitabh, absolutely great question. I think Kerala has already started to do what it needs to do. That's why a guy from Washington, D.C. is out here to tap into what Kerala has to offer. You took some names like Hyderabad. It's a great example of Microsoft having been sold by the government of Hyderabad or Andhra at that time to basically incentivize strong product companies to establish a very strong GCC base for themselves. So I would suggest that is one thing, not just services companies, but core product and technology companies, and we happen to be one in HCL Software product company also. And then linking it to very strong academia is very important as well. So the whole concept of connections between academia, industry, and the government agency is a big showcase of the trust and faith that we need to put in for scale. I think Kerala also has a brilliant, very high-end capital, human capital, need not be volume-centric. In the past, there was a lot of volume-centric approach to things. Now it's really moving into the value-centric thing. The very fact that AI chips are being talked about, security, cybersecurity of a completely different level, and the very fact that a company like HCL Tech is in its Kerala center developing silicon engineering for the next-gen AI chips and security chips. We could have done it in any other center. By the way, I believe we have been able to do it best out here. And that experiment, or rather proof of concept...
So you've been able to do it best in Kerala?
Beg your pardon?
You said best in India or best in Kerala?
No. We have many centers, but we picked up Kerala for the profile of people required, this is cutting edge. This is as cutting edge as it can get to.
Wonderful.
And because it has executed so well, and the only definition of execution well is where the end customer loves it and wants to scale the volume. That is what has got established, and today that has given us the confidence of now bringing in more high-end customers, the best of the best, as huge data center expansion is taking place. That's where the NVIDIAs of the world are scoring, and LLMs are basically being built. So that is the high-quality human capital which is needed, which is a combination where government has to step in, academia has to step in so that we get the volume of people of high value, and then industries are ready to implement and invest, execute such high-value thing. I can tell you, these kind of stories, when they come out, and which has started in Kerala, was in Davos this time when I met them and got invited, it will be a groundbreaking. People will start pulling into Kerala rather than you pushing it.
Thank you. Thank you for those very interesting comments. I greatly appreciate it. Let me turn to Mr. Matthew Uman, and who's the CEO of the Geo Platforms. And my belief is that Kerala is a society, which believes in going green. It needs to grow in a very sustainable manner. It's a state which believes in platforms. It's a state which believes in technology. What has been the Geo Platform story of Kerala, and how are you looking at transforming geo platforms using Kerala as a vehicle?
Very good. First of all, thank you very much in allowing us to be here. Being from Kerala, clearly I'm extremely passionate in terms of doing the right thing for Kerala. I think for everyone here, the first thing that connects is connectivity. And let me tell you that Reliance Jio has transformed connectivity, hopefully, for the whole of India, and actually now for the world. Why do I say that? Because when we were $45 billion only in 2016, Mukesh Ambani decided to invest $20.5 billion in telecom in India. Now, anyone would have said this gentleman is crazy. Now, everyone has a perspective on the Ambanis. Let me tell you, I also have a perspective on the Ambanis. Why I say that, when the connectivity per GB was 250 to 350 rupees, today all of us are enjoying 10 rupees or better per GB. And I will say anything and everything starts with connectivity. As far as Kerala is concerned, I think connectivity, compute, AI, quantum compute that you mentioned, as well as robotics, these are the emerging economies that we have being ease of doing business, being the best startup ecosystem. We are the best suited in India for sure. But to make this happen, we need power. And since Mr. Kant mentioned the sustainability, if I tell you we should go nuclear, now nuclear is only one part of it, so we should do nuclear energy. But nuclear energy in the new world is the small modular reactors. I think that's very important. Land reforms. I think if you have to do land reforms in Kerala, now I may be punished for this statement, but I genuinely believe a land reforms amendment for Kerala is needed because we don't have enough land. And I think there is a great opportunity. The other is, gentlemen, and ladies, our biggest value is our own perception of where is Kerala, who's Kerala. And I think each one of us have a great opportunity to sell Kerala to the rest of the world. And I sincerely believe in that. There is no nation, no city, no Keralam. And since Amitabh Kant mentioned LLM, let me also tell you, Kerala-specific Keralam is needed. That is Keralm. Keralam is needed. And we can make Keralam here. If DeepSeek can do this for 5.6 million, I absolutely believe with the right infrastructure between land, power, and the roads means inland navigation, leveraging some of the technologies that we have. Thank you.
Good. So, since all three of you from the services sector have spoken with so much of passion and conviction for Kerala, let me ask you two things. One is that AI and cloud and data centers all are going to consume so much of energy. A huge amount of energy is going to be consumed, and according to International Energy Association, the total amount of energy being consumed will be more than what the country like Japan will be consuming by 2026. How does Kerala get that energy? You are saying small modular reactors. Now, small modular reactors will have a gestation period because some laws have to be amended on that, the Nuclear Waste Act, etc. Is it possible for Kerala to go on renewables? Number one, to my mind, is that a feasible proposition? Number two, and I want all three of you to react on this. The second is the last administrative order issued by Biden was to limit the supply of GPUs to India and controlling supply of GPUs. Now, is it possible for Kerala to converge top-class software, very clever engineering of software with limited hardware capability, or would you require very extensive capabilities of computing power also? Because DeepSeek has demonstrated that you can converge limited computing power with very good software. Is that a possibility for Kerala? And all three of you can respond to this.
First, Amitabh sir, this is on about we are the hub of the IT technology supply chain globally in terms of human capital. About 19 to 20% of that comes from this state. They may not be working here, but they come from this state.
They work from the state?
May not be working here, but they are coming from the state.
They're all Malayalis.
They're all Malayalis. I mean,
Yeah.
look at talent leakage like us, all of us,
Yeah,
right?
except Mr. Ganju.
So if we think that we cannot do it, I think that's like a mathematical impossibility. I think we can do it. Now the question is to be really smart to make sure that we are designing it optimally to the needs of the emerging global demand in terms of power, in terms of footprint, in terms of sustainability and all of that. But I absolutely believe that we can do it.
Yeah, wonderful. Mr. Ganju.
It's a no-brainer. The very fact, if you see a lot of top technology innovation in the world that is been taking place, and you look at the companies who are doing it, and then you double-click into those companies, into those labs, into their headquarters, I think you will see a lot of us out there.
Are you saying that Kerala needs to get a number of its good brains who are abroad in different companies back into Kerala to do innovation?
I'm saying both. So first of all, COVID actually taught us that you can do work remotely.
Yeah.
Secondly, it taught us that rather than having one major central hub and pulling talent from everywhere else, you can have hubs in different places where this talent is coming from. As long as this talent has the right infrastructure, the right incentives, and they're closer to their home base and their roots, they would love to come back. So I'm very confident that people from Kerala, be it outside of India or be it in other parts of India, would love to come back here as long as they have equal or better facilities and an ecosystem to be, living their life. We are talking of Gen Z type of profile of people.
Yeah.
By the way, this profile of people are also very sensitive to sustainability.
Yeah.
They're sensitive to diversity. So these are all great attributes of Kerala.
And culture.
And culture, absolutely.
And they all believe in diversity.
That's why I said diverse. And that's playing to the strengths of Kerala.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I believe this is where, and the high value thing I'm emphasizing again, because there's other parts which is more volume centric in the technology services. Here, leveraging that skill for the next gen products and technologies, which is definitely going to be semiconductor based, AI based, IoT based, ML, everything. So this is a great opportunity for anybody to tap into at an early stage and leverage.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very nice. Mr. Shashi Kumar, your views.
Oh, Matthew.
Sorry. Mr. Matthew Uman, your views.
No
Mr.
worries.
Matthew,
First of all,
I loved your earlier perspective. That's why your perspective is very important.
No, thank you, sir. So he had a couple of questions. One was with respect to sustainable energy, what we can do in the near term. Unfortunately, we don't have land in Kerala. So solar is going to be a very hard thing to do because you need a boatload of lands. Since someone mentioned boat is very critical for Kerala, there is boatload of land is required, so it's difficult. Wind is a possibility in certain areas along our coastal, but it comes with other ecological challenges because Kerala is very ecologically and people friendly. The third one is hydrogen fuel. Hydrogen fuel, I know Mr. Jyotilal is having a very lot of activities in Kerala trying to look at that. So hydrogen is a possibility. But Kerala, for all the things that we just discussed, whether it's AI, quantum compute, or GPU, and I'll come to that specifically, Kerala will need more than 1,000 times the power that Kerala has today if we have to put a reasonably high number of GPUs. And that's what Mr. Kant was, I'm sure, alluding to, because in the US, they have put a new law called the AI diffusion law. That means is you cannot export certain GPUs for certain levels. And that's what the Chinese teams did through DeepSeek, they had an N-4 level of GPU. That means 4 levels behind, and yet produce a product that was able to do much better. And that is the opportunity for us as Kerala to do Keralam, as well as, I would say, the magic of Kerala. Because we hear from Mr. Trump, from MAGA, to Mr. Modi, to MEGA, which is Make India Great Again. I think we can make AI great industry in Kerala, magic of Kerala. And I believe as Keralites, as the people of Kerala, we can do it because we have the inherent strength and the potential. Again, not for exporting people, sir, but for exporting solutions and products. Because we don't want to be just a people exporter. That doesn't create the value that we actually need as Kerala.
But there's nothing wrong in exporting skilled manpower to the rest of the world. Kerala will be exporting 30% of its skilled manpower in addition to export. You know, that's also important.
100% from, but just not being as an exporter of value power. I mean, every industry has a blend of value that you create. We don't want to be just cheap labor. We want to be high-tech, deep-tech labor. That is the fundamental difference.
Thank you. Mr. Murugappan, I wanted to turn to you. You know, you've been in Kerala for 60 years. You've seen how Kerala has evolved. Give me 3 cutting-edge areas on the manufacturing side. 3 cutting-edge areas on the manufacturing side where Kerala must take the lead.
See, on the manufacturing side, sir, it really depends on what is the resources that we have here. I think a lot have been talked about human resources. Human resources, Kerala is excellent, even in the manufacturing sector. What are the basic other resources? I think the 3 cutting areas is what you have as natural resources here, add value to it. What you have as natural resources, add value to it. And this is not only in terms of raw materials, but you have natural resources as just nature.
No, but why do you say that? Because Singapore demonstrated that you can import, you can add value and re-export. It has the Cochin port, it has the Vizhinjam port. Why not import, add value here, become the biggest exporter to the world?
Yeah. So you told me 3, I told you 1.
Yeah.
All right. The second one is exactly what you say, and this is what we do.
Thanks.
What we do is we have a lot of talent that we are able to take products. We are material science people, and we have a lot of talent, and through our own research, we've now developed a whole new series of graphenes, for example. And we're able to take this to various applications worldwide. The third is that we need supporting infrastructure. I think my colleagues here, the 3 of them, talked about supporting infrastructure like power, etc. And all these are power intensive. We came to Kerala when power was 3 paisa per unit. We remained in Kerala because the talent was even better. So if we had the combination of infrastructure and talent, I think Kerala can do a lot more, and we will be more than happy to invest more.
Okay, so is the power on par with other states, or is it still lower than other states?
In terms of what?
In terms of the tariff.
See, the tariff is maybe slightly lower, but when power is your raw material, it doesn't matter. You need to be as to where the power is the best.
Okay. Okay, so Kerala needs more because it's got water, it's got a lot of hydro base,
Yes.
it's got the capability to do renewables, it should produce more power and sell it at a lower cost than other states.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And that can help you to get a lot of more artificial intelligence, it can get you to get a lot of more computing power, it can help you to get more data centers in Kerala.
And more manufacturing.
And more manufacturing. Okay, great. So one key reform for Kerala is its ability to produce more power at cheap costs.
And consistent.
Yeah, okay. Anthony, I wanted to turn to you because I'm a great believer in ports. I really believe that Kerala's story has to be around the port of Vizhinjam. If Kerala has to make it big in the coming years, if it has to grow at high rates, if it has to create jobs, Vizhinjam port has to play a very, very critical role. Tell me, how do you foresee the future of Vidinium in transforming Kerala in the next 15 years? How will it be the biggest transformational agent of Kerala?
See, I would say port is the gateway to the trade. We are starting with the first transshipment terminal, but transshipment terminal creates the value getting into the port and getting out of the port, right? Of course, it is creating employment, it is creating business, but I think most important for us is to get into the EXIM trade, which is export and import. Export and import happens when we have manufacturing, when we have conversion of the goods. Now, how we can attract the manufacturing, and I would say the 66% of the GDP of Kerala is driven by the services. So I would say Kerala has seen the service kranti or service revolution. I think Kerala has to go through the manufacturing revolution to get into the EXIM trade. But I would say Vijinjam, at first, transshipment. Step number 2 is the logistics parks. I mean, manufacturing may come after 5 years, but what about the seafood exports? What about, all these things which can be easily installed in the ecosystem of the port? So which means port supported by the surrounding ecosystem, which is logistics. And the third step is port plus logistics connecting the manufacturing industry from first mile to the last mile.
Okay.
And that's where I think Vijinjam is for. One more big opportunity which Vijinjam has got is, as I said, transshipment, 68% of the India transshipment outside, which means by having Vijinjam, we will save foreign exchange in addition to the cost and the time. The second is bunkering facility. Most of the vessels get their fuel outside India, which means again a foreign exchange. So this is a very smartest location to go for bunkering facilities and so on and so on. So that's why, to answering to your question, Amitabh ji, that sky is the limit. We have to just work as one team, which is talent, technology, and the government agencies along with the seashore of 600 kilometers. And I think we will be the first one.
No, tell me, Ashwani, how do you see the future of Wellington Port in Cochin? How can that be transformed?
See, I mean, I always see that competition is always healthy, and we learn from each other, right? I mean, we just talked about talent. We already got the talent from Middle East in Vijinjam now. They are all expatriates who left India 20 years before. They have come back. And now, when we are doing the automated port in Sri Lanka, their Sri Lanka are getting trained in Vijinjam in our AI facility. So, to answering to your question, definitely when the shipping lines will start giving calls to us, when we will have the EXIM, definitely our competition port will say, it's a wake-up call, let's wake up and get into it.
Okay.
I always see competition as healthy because we learn from each other.
Okay, great, wonderful, thank you. Anusuya, I started off with you and let me conclude with you. Suddenly India started producing great malts and, Rampur and Jaisalmer gin and this Paul John here from Kerala. They've started doing better than Scotch whiskies from Scotland. Do you think a potential for Kerala to do better than Scotland in this field?
I would definitely think so, because there's a lot of focus now across states on how to kind of promote whatever we build and make in India, right? For example, if you look at our Sabian Bev, we work a lot with the barley farmers in Haryana, in Rajasthan, to procure barley, which is going into the products that we're making in India.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of focus on that, and that homegrown thing that all the panelists talked about is something that's really to look out for.
Okay, wonderful. So ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very fascinating discussion. I think this was far more livelier, far more peppier than the inaugural discussion. So let me clearly thank, let me say that I've greatly benefited from this session, and let me thank Anil Ganju, who's the president and CGO of HCL Tech. He came out with some really valid, very relevant suggestions for Kerala. Let me thank Mr. Matthew Ooman, who was truly brilliant, very passionate on Kerala. And let me thank Shashi Kumar Sridharan, whose very great perspective, very visionary approach. So great amount of, I really greatly benefited from it. Let me thank Ashwani Gupta for what he has done for Kerala in the Vizhinjam port sector, truly transformational work. And let me congratulate Mr. Murugappan for his huge commitment to Kerala for the last 62 years. You are actually, you have the greatest faith in Kerala. 62 years you've remained here. So I think you are the best brand ambassador for Kerala. And let me thank Anusuya Roy for her belief that Kerala can produce better malts than the Scotch whiskies from Scotland. Thank you so much, all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this wonderful session, which was more livelier, more fascinating, and had many more ideas than the inaugural session, Mr. Anish. Thank you so much.